The reading from Romans talks about how Abraham is justified by faith, not justified by obedience to the law. For me, faith is that kind of spiritual instinct by which we step into, right into, the great mysteries of life, including the greatest mystery, which is love, including love of enemy. I've come to realize that it's not just a matter of faith and love, it's a matter of faith in love's capacity to transform apathy or violence. Faith in love's capacity to transform. The gospel reading from John says, God sent his Son into the world not to condemn the world, but so that through him the world might be saved. What does that mean, might be saved? When Christ encounters the world, it is not to condemn the world, but to bless it, to save it from hatred and violence, to save it from itself, to save it. Yet when most European so-called Christians encountered the indigenous peoples of what is now called Canada, there was way too much condemnation of the First Nations spirituality. Instead of a sharing of faith stories, a sharing of experiences of mysteries, especially the mystery of love. A number of years ago, I would go to a hermitage in the woods on a Quaker farm, and I would take with me just two things: the readings from Francis of Assisi and the writings of First Nations. And I soon realized how similar the two bodies of writings and words were to each other. In the retreats that I offer on Francis of Assisi, I invite the retreatants to imagine a sharing of faith without condemnation between Francis and First Nations people. It's just a small journey of imagination to imagine how we could have encountered each other as Christians and as First Nations people. So I invite you to imagine such an encounter. The visit is announced to as many First Nations communities as possible. It is carefully prepared over a long period of time. Finally, a beautiful spot is readied near Penetanguishene, which means land of the white rolling sands, on the shores of a great bay, among great boulders. Francis is transported by a canoe. He's fascinated by the beauty and efficiency of the canoe. They notice he smells of garlic. He notices that they smell of sweetgrass, which reminds him of the unfamiliar smells during his encounter with Malik al-Kamil, the Sultan of Egypt. For Francis, these are all scents from Mother Earth. The following are some of the people present at the meeting with Francis: Hiawatha, Pontiac, Wabasha, Metacomet, Tecumseh, Black Hawk, Sequoia, Crazy Horse, Sitting Bull, Geronimo, and also some strong and wise women whose names were not recorded in a history written by men. They all form a circle between the shore and large majestic boulders. A sacred fire is lit. There's a small feast of sacred drum music. There's a formal blessing with sage from Turtle Island and incense from Italy. So what follows in imagining this encounter is literally the voices, the quotations from First Nations. First, a quotation from First Nations, then Francis back and forth. The conversation begins. First speaks Black Elk. Like the grasses growing tender faces to each other, so should we. Francis. God revealed a form of greeting to me, telling me that we should say, God give you peace. From Chief Joseph. The earth is the mother of all people, and all the people should have equal rights upon it. You might as well expect the rivers to run backward as that any man who was born free should be contented when penned up and denied liberty to go where he pleases. Francis. I never want to become a ruler who pushes and forces like a podesta of this world. No one is to be called prior. They're all to be known as friars minor, without distinction, and they should be prepared to wash one another's feet. The friars should be glad to serve and obey one another. Chief Dan George. Ours are the silent ways. We have always done all things in a gentle manner. Francis. Whenever the friars meet one another, they should show that they are members of the same family. They should have no hesitation in making known their needs to one another. For if a mother loves and cares for her child in the flesh, a friar should certainly love and care for his spiritual brother all the more tenderly. If a friar falls ill, the others are bound to look after him as they would like to be looked after themselves. From an old Wintu woman speaking about the needless destruction, especially related to gold mining. We use only dead wood, but the white people plow up the ground, pull down the trees, kill everything. Francis. I forbade the brothers to cut down the whole tree when they cut wood, so that it might have hope of sprouting again. A member of the Cree Nation. Only when the last tree has died, and the last river has been poisoned, and the last fish has been caught, will we realize we can't eat money. Francis. The friars who have a trade should work at it. In payment, they should accept anything they need other than money, except to provide for the urgent needs of those who are ill. We should have no more use or regard for money in any of its forms than for dust. When we receive no recompense for our work, we can turn to God's table. Crowfoot, a Blackfoot chief. We cannot sell the lives of men and animals, and therefore we cannot sell the land. It was put here by the Great Spirit, and we cannot sell it because it does not really belong to us. Francis. No matter where they are, in hermitages or elsewhere, The friars must be careful not to claim the ownership of any place or try to hold it against someone else. Black elk. There can never be peace between nations until there is first known that true peace, which, as I've often said, is within the souls of people. Francis, while you are proclaiming peace with your lips, be careful to have it even more fully in your heart. For we have been called for the purpose of healing the wounded, binding up those who are bruised, and reclaiming the erring. Ohiisha, a Santi Dakota physician and author. In the life of the Indian, there was only one inevitable duty, the duty of prayer, the daily recognition of the unseen and eternal. To him, all days are God's. Francis, pray unceasingly with the heart free from self-interest. Chief Seattle, what are people without the beasts? If all the beasts were gone, people would die from a great loneliness of spirit. Francis, obedience subjects a person to everyone on earth, and not only to people, but to all the beasts as well, and to the wild animals, as far as God allows them. Chief Luther Standing Bear, the old people came literally to love the soil. For them to sit or lie upon the ground is to be able to think more deeply and to feel more keenly, to see more clearly into the mysteries of life and come closer in kinship to other lives about them. Francis, you know how I wish to die. As soon as death occurs, you must undress me just as I did before, lay me on the ground, and let me lie there for as much time as it takes to walk a mile. Chief Tecumseh, prepare a noble death song for the day when you go over the great divide. Francis, be praised, my God, for sister bodily death, whom no living person can escape. Tantagamani, or walking buffalo. You whites assumed we were savages. You didn't understand our prayers. You didn't try to understand. When we sang our praises to the sun or moon or wind, you said we were worshiping idols. Francis, I would like to pray my canticle of creation. God most high, all powerful and good, to you all praise and glory, honor and blessing. No one is worthy to breathe your name. Be praised, my God, through all your creation. In the first place, for blessed brother Sun, who brings us the day and through whom you give us light, who is beautiful and radiant with great splendor, giving witness of you, full of power. Be praised, my God, for Sister Moon, and the stars, formed by you so bright, precious, and beautiful. Be praised, my God, for brother wind and the air, for stormy and fair skies, for every weather. Be praised, for it is life-giving. Be praised, my God, for sister water, so useful, humble, precious, and pure. Be praised, my God, for brother fire, who lights up the night. He is beautiful and happy, powerful and vigorous. Be praised, my God, for our sister Mother Earth, who nourishes and guides us while bringing forth abundance of fruits, colored flowers, and herbs. Be praised, my God, for those who forgive through your love and bear sickness and trial. Blessed are those who keep themselves in peace, for they shall be rewarded by you, Most High. Be praised, my God, for our sister bodily help, whom no living person can escape. Praise and bless God, give thanks, serve God with great humility. There is a long, long silence. It is a good silence, a pregnant silence. Then something extraordinary happens. One of the women asks their new brother, "Would you tell us more about Jesus, the Christ of Kichimanitu, the Great Spirit? We trust you." Francis replies, "Yes, but I also want to hear your experiences of Kichimanitu so that I may learn from you as I did from Sultan Malik al-Kamil and the Muslim people." From a deep well of radical wisdom, the old woman smiles knowingly. Amen.